Everything started on November 21st, 2013, when the president of Ukraine at that time, Viktor Yanukovych, decided not to sign an agreement of association with the European Union. People went into the streets to Maidan in Kiev, which is the Independence Square in Kiev, to protest against this sudden step back and to support the European vector of development for Ukraine. Similar protests were taking place throughout Ukraine. What started off as a pro-European movement soon turned into an anti-government protest against corruption and oppression. Protesters were spending days and nights at Maidans throughout Ukraine. Events took a dramatic turn when the government of Ukraine sent riot police to clean up the square. It happened in the middle of the night on November 30th. The small group of protesters, mainly consisting of students, was there, and they were attacked and beaten up brutally by riot police. Can you please put the next slide? Videos of the attack went viral, and the peaceful nation, non-violent Ukrainians were all shocked, and millions of Ukrainians flooded the squares in their cities to protest against the regime and to protect their children and their future.
On January...
Tension kept growing, and Ukraine saw most terrible days since its independence.
Then on January 16th, a number of draconian laws were enacted. These laws made anyone who peacefully protested a criminal, and anyone who was at Maidan in Kiev or anywhere else in Ukraine would be sent to prison for 15 years for just coming out and peacefully protesting on the streets. These laws also did not allow to assemble or to research information about government officials. Thankfully, later these laws were cancelled. People united to defend their choice. They protected each other from police. On the next few slides, you will see how the priest stands in front of the police. And the next one, you see a cross above the clashes. Next slide. A boy is playing, this is a famous photo from the protest. A boy is playing the piano in front of internal riot police barefoot. Next slide, please. People are sleeping on the floors in the administrative buildings. Next slide. Then there was a March of the Millions when only in Kiev alone 2.5 million people came out to the streets. And we see that there are flags of Great Britain, Canada, Georgia, and others who also came out to support and be there with Ukrainians. And then the next slide. Also, there was an event when 200,000 people sang a national anthem of Ukraine together at Maidan. However, unfortunately, this, as I already mentioned, these protests were not peaceful, and now Iryna will talk about the sad part of the protests.
Unfortunately, on February 18th, the government crossed all possible and imaginable lines. It decided to use snipers against protesters at Kiev Maidan. And those snipers were not shooting just to disable people, not to simply wound them. They were shooting to kill them. Most victims who were shot by snipers had those bullet marks in their heads, eyes, necks. Next slide, please. As a result, over 100 people were killed during the protests. We don't have an exact number because many people are still missing, because there was a big fire in an administrative building where mainly wounded people were, and the riot police didn't allow people to extinguish the fire. So many people just died there, they burned there alive. And still thousands were severely injured and need our help every day. They need costly medical treatment. Next slide, please. Luckily, the government was overthrown. The president ran away, Viktor Yanukovych, after he was impeached. Yes. But unfortunately, the struggle is not over. The elections, the next early presidential elections, will happen on May 25th, 2014, and all Ukrainians who are in Ukraine, abroad, have to actively participate. They all have to go and vote for the future of Ukraine. But Lesya is going to talk more about what is going on in Ukraine still today.
Next slide, please. So in the end of February, Russian troops entered the Crimea Peninsula to protect the Russian population that lives in the peninsula. However, what happened really is that Russia started a military intervention in Ukraine. Doing so, Russia broke the Budapest Memorandum on 1994. By this document, Russia, along with US and along with the United Kingdom, agreed to defend Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial unity for Ukraine giving up its nuclear weapons. Thus, the future of Crimea is yet to be decided upon. However, we hope that it will be a peaceful process. And now we'll talk a little bit about our activity here in the Bay Area. Next slide. So, who are we? We're MaydanSF. Again, we're not a formal organization, we're just representatives of the Ukrainian diaspora here in the Bay Area. And why we organized this movement is because we weren't able to be just quiet and watch TV. We wanted to do something to help people in the Ukraine. Next one. So far we had 3 large demonstrations attended each time by 500 to 600 people. Together probably 1,000 people came out to support us. Next one. And not only Ukrainians came out, but also representatives from Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Germany, even Venezuela, and other countries came to support and show their solidarity with Ukraine. So one of the most important aspects of our activity was collecting donations. And we so far collected more than $25,000 and sent them to Ukraine. We've sent them to activists for food, for medicine, and also we sent money to the families of the dead and the dead people, and also to the injured protesters. So the way we did it is through our friends, and each time anything was bought in Ukraine for the donated money, we posted receipts so people can see what exactly was bought and how their money was used. Next slide. And we want to invite you all guys to our next event, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, to our next event, which is tomorrow in San Francisco, right in front of the ferry building in Justin Herman Plaza. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. We want to spread awareness and raise more donations because it is important to keep providing support to Ukrainians. Ira will now also read the petition that we're going to ask you to sign there.
So we have prepared a petition because it is another thing that we can do being in the US. We can address the government of the United States because it's such an important player in the world politics, and the US can put pressure on the government of Russia and to protect Ukraine's sovereignty. So this petition will be signed during the protest tomorrow, but we brought it here today for those who will not be able to attend tomorrow. And I will just briefly read what we are requesting. Immediately send international observers into Crimea and eastern Ukraine. Demand immediate withdrawal of Russian troops from the territory of Crimea that is outside of the designated Russian military base. Help ensure security of Ukrainian military in Crimea. And assist in developing a comprehensive economic program, a 21st century Marshall Plan aimed at stabilizing Ukraine's economy. So this petition will be available for signature at the door. We also will be giving out information about us, how you can stay in touch, how you can help, because we also form groups of volunteers assisting us, volunteers, so we can do more, we can reach more people. We need more ideas and help on how to do this. We have a lot of contacts, but no contacts are enough to help Ukraine.
And also just want to mention that our goals are long-term, so we are actually going to form a non-profit, and we want to help Ukraine establish a civil society, help understand laws, human rights, and so on. So we're making those announcements in the future, but for now, really are asking you guys to please support us and support people in Ukraine. And thank you so much. Follow
Thank you.